So I've been asked a lot about different types of body fat testing. And we've kind of perfected the idea and honed in on how to lose body fat while still gaining muscle. But how do we test for it? Other than doing an MRI every single time, how do we really get down to the nitty-gritty? It's about time on this Functionize podcast that you take the journey with your mad scientist and discover how to test for body fat. Welcome all to the Functionize podcast. Before we really truly get going, what I'd love you to do right now is to sit back, relax, and take in this information, because this information may not come this way again. Take a screenshot of this podcast right now and post it to your Instagram and Facebook stories. Post it to your Instagram and Facebook pages. Tag Functionized, little @, FUNCTIONISED. Even hashtag it while you're at it. Why not? We will get notification that you have done so, and we will begin following you. You'll get extra followers for just doing that. Plus, we will also make sure that we start commenting on all of your stuff. So tag this very podcast on your page, and let's roll with that. This podcast is also brought to you by Functionize Integrative Therapeutics, home of the ever-expanding Fit Lab. Yes, Fit, F-I-T, it's a cute way of saying Functionize Integrative Therapeutics, but it's the Fit Lab. It is a biohacker's dream and continues to evolve, but we don't go after the biohackers, who are more than welcome. We go after those individuals that just don't have time. Straight up, don't have the time. So why waste your time and your efforts going to the gym and doing things that aren't working? There are degrees and advanced degrees on even just program design. Why is somebody with no experience whatsoever think that they can walk into a gym, just start throwing weights around, not expect to find no injury, expect to have these massive gains in strength, speed, agility, lose body fat, become just the alpha or the omega? It's not realistic, and we need to be realistic here. Now, you start taking the ARX, you start taking the Carol, getting your good vibes on with the Bulletproof Vibe Plate, the lipo laser. You start taking all these things and combining them, and the gains that you get are going to be just like, and sometimes even better than if you had an advanced program going, because you do get the recovery. You don't have the pounding of the joints. You do get the constant tension. It's true high-intensity interval training combined with high-intensity training, and it just works. Check out the Functionized Fit Lab, and on the whole new Carol, I'm going to call it Hacked Fitness in Manhattan. We're coming for you. So come on, Hacked. Bring your best riders, and let's have some fun. Let's go back at this and see who rises to the top. Speaking about cream without saying cream, I've been known pretty much as Keto Jim for years and years. I've been keto 3-4 years, and I think on previous podcasts I've mentioned how going to a full extreme of something is therapeutic. It's like taking mass doses of some antioxidant for therapeutic means, but it's not meant to be done like that for the rest of your life. If you have, we'll call it therapeutic doses of acai, you're going to eventually get diabetes from all the sugar. Short term, you may help clear up something. We'll use elderberry, clear up a virus, the flu. So it's been found long-term use of having a ketogenic diet, it is therapeutic, but at the same time, your thyroid function is going to be affected, and with the thyroid, it's closely linked to the liver. I've been incorporating a little bit more carbs in the form of plants. I still have not reached for the bread. I'm not going to reach for the bread. I have not reached for the sugar. I'm not going to reach for sugar. My diet lifestyle is still a very high-fat diet, but I notice I need more protein as well, so I've increased the protein. The carbs are still low, but I have started to increase them slowly but surely. And I've got one organic protein with me here. There's 15 grams of carbs, 7 is fiber. So there's 8 grams of net carbs in here. And it's got some good ingredients, no bread. But at the same time, I know that since it is plant-based, that the 21 grams, we'll call it 20 for even, I'm really only getting 10. The bioavailability is so limited. Make sure when you are having plant-based proteins, you understand this. So if it's calculated that you should have, say, 100 grams of protein in your diet per day, having that plant protein, really only around 50 of that is being absorbed. The cellular repair is not maximized. It's not efficient in the manner that you think it is. So on these diets of being a vegan, a vegetarian, again, it's another therapeutic dose. People feel great. They do. And I'm not trying to take this away from them. You feel great. And then months or years go by, and you just don't feel as great anymore. And you start having a few pieces of grass-fed, free-range beef. And all of a sudden you start feeling good again. So does this mean you got to go all keto? You can only eat meat? No. It's balance. There's got to be the right balance. And this is what we do. We find that right balance. You just got to keep an open mind of keeping balance in your life. Nothing wrong with being ketogenic. You're doing it for a while. It can certainly help reverse signs and symptoms of type 2 diabetes. It was created for epilepsy. It can certainly help with that. Post-concussion, it can certainly help with that because the ketones will help fuel your brain. And unfortunately, due to the brain damage of the injury, your body is craving glucose, but it's not able to absorb the glucose. The excess glucose starts to oxidize the region and actually ends up causing more harm than good. So starvation of glucose, become the keto bodies, post-concussion, keto diet works great. Now you recover. Does it mean you have to stay keto forever? No, it does not. That's where you can implement a serving or two of fruits. Now, a serving or two, I do mean a handful. Have some vegetables. It's okay. Now, personally, when I record my stuff, because I'm curious in everything, that I'm still around only 80 grams a day. And oftentimes I'll find myself in ketosis. Is what it is. Still staying low, but I would not say I'm keto strictly. 3-4 years is enough. And I like it. I understand it. For endurance running, it's great. When my body was keto adapted, even with strength, it was great. You can be strong on it. So those are my 2 cents on that. And I know I promised you here, didn't promise, but doing different types of body fat testing. Yeah, the most accurate way, there's going to be a couple here. One is hydrostatic. You go to the lab, university, and you have yourself submerged. You do multiple trials. You need to be able to have good utilization of oxygen because you're going to blow all the air out, and see how far down you sink. Then they're going to record that. It's not a quick thing. We're going to see how long you're going to be down there for. Do that a few times, and we can have a good idea of what your body fat is. I mean, pretty dead on. It's a gold standard. Another way is do an MRI. We're going to take slices and slices and slices of the MRI and see what comes out. Another way is the gruesome way. You could just literally lop off all the body tissue that you have and start weighing, separating the fascia and the epidermal layer from the fat and the fat from the muscle, etc., etc. Literally take all the fat on there, see how much you weighed, and take your body fat percentage that way. Does not leave room for repeat customers. Not at all. So you can pretty much get it done once, and you'll probably never know what it was in the first place. But, hey, your heirs will know how much body fat you had. Highly doubtful that was the reason that you actually wanted it taken in the first place. Now, you can use the skin fold calipers, also known as a pinch test. Some gyms have it, some doctors' offices have it. It's painful, it is, because someone is literally pinching your skin, separating the skin from the muscle and the fat, rolling it in their fingers, and pulling so the calipers can clamp down on it and they can take a reading, plug it into a complicated algorithm, and see what happens. It's pretty accurate if the individual doing it has experience. And I remember when I started doing that, I don't like dating myself, but we're going to say 20 years ago, I started doing that. And I was all over the place at first, just lack of experience. The more experience I got, the more I had some experienced individuals work with me, I started becoming dead on accurate. And I'm confident to say right now, I'm as bad as accurate as you're going to find anywhere in the world. But finding someone that accurate, finding someone that good and trained is difficult. So if you go to a fitness facility somewhere and someone's just learning, you're most likely not going to get the most accurate one. If you have someone with 20 plus years experience, you're going to be A-okay. But I'm drinking that protein, by the way. If you're wondering why I keep taking these little mini breaks, finding that creamy chocolate fudge protein mixed with organic peppermint tea that's hot is phenomenal. It's like a hot chocolate with a peppermint stick without the sugar. It is out of this world. I'm going to take another sip. I should get a crap ton more of this. So, another way that most facilities use is bioelectrical impedance. And it is so inaccurate, it is ridiculous. You can range with the inaccuracies on that. Really, it depends on the unit. There's so many ideas behind it. Anywhere from 7 to 9, at times I've seen even up to 12% that it is off from accurate. There's a ton of other factors involved in it as well. For instance, if you're dehydrated, if you're bloated, depends on what your electrolyte levels are. If you want to have something accurate with bioelectrical impedance, this is the one, by the way, with the you hold in your hands, and I'll talk about the InBody, which is that on steroids, if you would. But that little black thing with the little silver handles, you hold on to it. I've seen it in colors of white, and they've got, what am I saying? They got different colors in magazines now in the power systems. But you've all seen them. Anytime you go to a facility, they've got them there, and they use them for body fat testing. And it's claimed, hey, get your body fat tested, and it'll work. It's not going to. So don't be too dejected. Either way, if you want to use bioelectrical impedance, then you've got to ensure that within 2 to 4 hours of the test, you want to be more fasted, no food, no caffeine, Don't exercise within 4 hours, really within 24 hours, because of the inflammation that can go on. And you can really screw, depending on the exercises, with your electrolyte levels as well. Don't take too much water. So this is where the tough part comes in. If you have too little water, then you're going to be inaccurate. If you have too much water, it's going to be inaccurate. So what's the ideal amount of water? Exactly. Obviously, it must be ideal. Make sure your hydration is normal. So if you're typically indoors for 24 hours, you have your 64 ounces of water sipped throughout the day. Go first thing in the morning, and you should be okay. That's probably the best and most accurate time. And you're going to want to do it at the same time every day with the same eating and sleeping habits. Don't go out partying all night or not sleeping all night and then expect it to be the exact same or accurate the next day. Get your 7.6 hours of sleep, have your 64 ounces of water sipped throughout the day in a non-humid, non-hot environment, taking it easy, not working it out, and that's the way to get bioelectrical impedance close as possible. The InBody is the one I'm talking about on steroids. It's a stand-up. It's touted to be the latest and the greatest in body fat interpretation, body fat products, and a lot of facilities are starting to get it. The main selling point on here is the report that you get. It's cool. It's red, it's gray, it's black on a white piece of paper. You have a QR code on there. It tells your body composition. It is the same thing as the handheld one that you get, but it costs the facility around $15,000. To me, there's just not much payoff on there because it can be still so inaccurate. The one that we have preferred to go with, just because it's really not bioelectrical impedance, is going with the Fit 3D. It's a DEXA type scan. The percentage of body fat, why people typically have it measured, is because they want to look good in their clothes. Straight up. They want to look good in their clothes. Girls and guys want to look good in bathing suits. There are less heavy people in warmer climates because more of them is exposed than those that like to put on their winter coat without actually putting on a coat. It's really just eating a bunch of sugar. But body fat really is associated with the risk of multiple chronic diseases. Its measurements, as I'm talking about, is typically difficult to get. People do like the bioelectrical impedance because it's simple. It doesn't involve. It's not intrusive, such as the calipers. It's not extremely costly like the MRI, and you can still keep your life, so you don't have to get the fat literally cut off you. The biggest inconsistency also has to do with culture, believe it or not, factors such as the environment, which I talked about, certain medical conditions, even ethnicity, and women, even your phases of the time of month. If you're bloated more, you're carrying more water, aren't you? It's a way to try it. The Fit 3D does take a laser, infrared laser, and takes 400 different measurements as your body slowly rotates. It takes circumference of different parts of the body. It takes weight. It takes balance. It takes your posture. It'll assess your fitness level. It can even send measurements to the clothing store so you have the perfect pair of pants to go out with. All big bonuses. It gets your composition down. with bioelectrical impedance, it does take into effect your body mass index, where I'm considered at 8% body fat obese, simply because I am more athletic and have more muscle on me. Hardly what one would think to be obese. The obesity that is seen in BMI is typically associated with a general population. It does apply to a lot. It does not apply to the athlete. As an individual who wants to be very accurate in the recordings and readings, I know that the BIA, bioelectrical impedance, is mostly inaccurate. Hypertension, dyslipidemia, diabetes, coronary heart disease, all are the factors that are underlying in excessive body fat. Now, I'm sure if you're 30, 40, 50% body fat, you just know you're at risk. You're 5'8", 400 pounds. You're at risk for any of these and or all of these at once. But individuals that want to quantify where they're at, say you are 400 pounds and 5'8", great, you're losing weight on the scale. But if your body fat's staying the same, and all you're doing is getting on a ketogenic diet and losing some water, then you're really not lowering your risk for disease. So it's a great diagnosis tool. Great to see your progress and what you're doing. I recommend getting scanned really every week. Why not? Especially if you have the means to do so, meaning you're at a facility. Maybe partial to functionized, but functionized has tools to be able to assess your body fat and weight very accurately. It just makes sense. Go every other week is fine. Let's not start going to every month, because you're going to start losing that je ne sais quoi, that drive and desire by that time, and the sugar may start creeping back in. But getting yourself scanned once a week or once every other week is going to be a great method of tracking. See if you're on the right page, what you're doing right, what you're not doing right, honing in on specificity, quantifying everything that you do, and tracking yourself over time. And it's so easy to do. And with the cool printouts or your cloud that you can see, you can track it week to week to week. And that in of itself should be pretty motivating as well, right? If you see a lot of places that are utilizing bioelectrical impedance, like I said, it's fine if you're doing everything perfect and you go first thing in the morning, great. If you're not, if it's different times of the day, life happens, let's face it, then you're going to be all over the place. And the ability to quantify what you're looking to do is not going to be there. So I'm not going to keep on beating the dead horse here. I think you get the gist of it. Go with what's best. Don't go with what just is. Meaning, let's not just, if you're hungry, you don't have to reach for the Twinkie. When you want to know what your body fat is, you don't just reach for the bioelectrical impedance. Get it done right. If you're a high-quality athlete that needs the gold standard, then go get the hydrostatic testing done. Go get an MRI. But if you're looking to choose here between bioelectrical impedance with something like InBody, or if you're looking to do a Fit 3D scan, come on, it's a laser. I think Dr. Evil and Austin Powers made the laser thing popular. In this case here, the Fit 3D is popular, and it is the better choice. And that's the one, after all the research that we have done, and I have done, decided to go with. And that is all I've got to say about that. So for another podcast, this is your mad scientist. I am out.